Hey everybody, this is Su1c1de with Black Women Aware. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who comes by and supports my page. It really does mean a lot to me. If you all can please press the like or dislike button and subscribe, comment, or even email me if you have any suggestions, questions, or concerns. My email is always going to be in the description box. Again, thank you for visiting my channel. Hey guys, it's Su1c1de with Black Women Aware. So I had to jump in real quick and give this message. First, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for visiting my page. Thank you for showing support and being concerned about the injustices that Black women and children face every day in the United States. I really do appreciate your support. You don't know how much that means to me, especially because I myself am a Black woman. I'd also like to put this quick disclaimer out there. Do not come to my page victim shaming or blaming. You will be immediately blocked for that. I do not tolerate it. There is no need for it. And I'm pretty sure you knew what you were saying in the comment before you posted it. So be respectful. Many of the victims, their families come back and they visit this page. I am their advocate. This is their safe space. No disrespect will be tolerated. You all have a good day. I'm going to let you go back into the commentary. Every 5.5 hours in the United States of America, a Black woman or child is murdered. Stop killing Black women. Stop killing Black children. Wait, hold up. Now, before we get started in today's topic, I wanted to share one last but important and exciting thing with y'all. So I have been communicating with the ladies over at Black Femicide US, and this year's 2022 Black Women's March is going to be held in August. It's going to be held precisely August 27th, 2022. That's a Saturday, y'all, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to be marching around the city. Yes, you heard me correctly. I said we're, because Su1c1de is going to be in attendance, and I am honored to be there. I feel privileged to be there. There's going to be raffles, there's going to be food, there's going to be guest speakers. So if you can, please come out and join us. If you can't join us physically, support us virtually. Share and like this video. Share it with all your friends, or if you can't share the video, go over to Black Femicide's Instagram or their Facebook page, find this flyer and share it. I'm going to read their statement before I go into today's topic. It's one that, even though they wrote, I agree with it as well. So it says, we're going to be marching for the liberation of Black women and girls. We march to bring awareness to the issues that Black women and girls face uniquely and disproportionately. We march to honor Black women and girls and to discuss our plan of action on our future in this country that directly ties to our liberation. Beautiful statement. So I hope you guys can come out and join us. Again, the date is August 27th of 2022. The place is Washington, D.C. We're going to be meeting at the Washington Monument, okay? Washington Monument. So if you can be there, be there. If you need more information, just email me or send Black Femicide US a DM. All right, now it's time to go into our topic. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Su1c1de and I am back with another video. In this video, I am going to be covering a case that came to us out of the Baton Rouge area, Baton Rouge, Louisiana to be more specific, out of that area. And quick disclaimer, what I am about to read to you is a passing away. I have to call it a passing away note because we're on YouTube and you guys know how the bots are. So this is a passing away note. This is a letter saying goodbye from a young lady, a beautiful young lady. She was a cheerleader. She was a student at Southern University down there in Louisiana. But this was her goodbye letter or passing away letter to her family before she ultimately unalived herself. Now, the reason why I wanted to read this to you all is to get it ingrained in your heads that mental health is serious One of the things that I feel like we struggle in our community is we are not only in denial when it comes to our physical health, but that more so falls on black men, black women. Really will go take care of themselves, but where black women kind of hit the wall is we're not often believed when we go into the medical facilities and give our complaints or our chief complaints about our care and all, but we will go see the doctor. Black men pretty much are in denial and they'll wait to the last minute when it comes to physical health. Now, when it comes to mental health, I believe both genders are lacking, okay? Especially the old school people. If you grew up like me, then you know when you told your parents, hey, I'm depressed, it was often thrown off as, oh, ain't, and I'm going to be very blunt, guys. Oh, ain't shit wrong with you. Go clean the dishes. That's literally what would be told to most of us in our households. And we will be struggling with these emotions and all of these things that we did not understand. And then you switch it up and you have these parents wondering why this child got off into a gang. This child is now on drugs. This child is promiscuous. This child doesn't, they hang around the wrong crowd. Somebody who's just as dark or as how they feel on the inside. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like a lot of the people from our generation or the older generation kind of dropped. They didn't kind of drop the ball. They dropped the ball because you cannot throw it off when somebody is reaching out for help and then hurt your head wondering why they spazzing out and why they act the way they do. What you think, what you believe, which I often stress on this channel, your belief system is who you are. Okay, your belief system has nothing to do with religion. You can be an atheist and have a belief system. Your belief system is that you do not believe there is a God. That is your belief system. Okay, you can believe that all fat people are unhealthy. That is your belief system. You can believe whatever, but your belief system is your foundation and it's ultimately going to guide your life. Okay. So when people, especially of the older black generation, thwart off their children and younger generation, when these people reach out and say, hey, I know myself well enough to know at 10, at 9, at 13, something is off with me. Okay, because my first bout with depression, I was 12 years old, y'all. And I knew something was off with me and nobody would believe me. Okay, so when I started to spaz and spiral out of control in my teen years, people started scratching their heads, but I had been vocalizing this stuff since my preteens and all. So when they started to do that, I actually began to spiral more out of control, out of anger, because I've been telling people, I've been vocalizing it, I've been saying something, I've been communicating that, hey, something is off with me, I may need some help. And nobody would listen. They would thwart it off as something else, or they would ridicule me, especially when other family members and relatives were around. Okay, so I have to read this young lady's message, not to disrespect the family or anything like that, but I really want y'all to get this ingrained in y'all that this stuff is real and we cannot continue to turn a blind eye in our communities. The trying to be comfortable in discomfort or in dysfunction, it has to end in the black community. You know what I'm saying? It has to. But on to this letter, I have given my disclaimer. Let's read what the late Arlana Miller has to say. Okay, so I've given my disclaimer and I am going to read this again. Please understand that discretion is advised. I don't really advise you guys to allow young children to listen to this, okay, because it is kind of dark. So I'll go ahead and start, and I will be inserting what I like to call substitute terms because, as I've said before, YouTube bots be on it. Let me get started. So she writes, may this day bring me rest and peace. I have fought this urge since my early teenage years, okay? So I want y'all to really pay attention to what this young lady wrote. You know, I want y'all to really pay attention. She says she has fought the urge since her early teenage years, and she gave this life the best fight she could. Now, she passed away. She ended up unaliving herself, I believe, May 4th or 5th. And she was 19 years old, y'all. So let me continue on. She writes, "To everyone who has entered my life, I am so grateful, and I can only imagine how this may find you. I have been surrounded by people who may have honestly thought that I was okay, but I haven't been okay for a while." Okay. That's what you heard what she said. So a lot of times people who struggle with passing away thoughts or unaliving themselves, they know how to put on a good front. They know how to put on a good facade. Okay. So you really need to look deeper at your friends and family and just watch their pattern and how they live their life. If you see anything that may be odd, please don't judge them or make them feel stupid. I've worked with so many patients who struggle with wanting to unalive themselves, and they don't like talk to, especially people in Arlana's age group, the teenagers. They don't like talking about it and all, because the first thing, especially parents, what they want to throw them off as is, "Oh, you're crazy." Let me tell you what I know. These people are not crazy. Okay, I was one of these people at one point in my life. But even before I went through my bout of struggling with those thoughts, the one thing that I will say is these people are not crazy. They are real everyday people. They didn't go haywire or anything like that and all. They just had some tough things happen in their life. And sometimes when you have some very tough things happen in your life, some people come to the conclusion that, hey, I know a way out. Let me unalive myself. Okay, that is when it's that intense to where they're starting to contemplate and have unaliving thoughts. You need to seriously get them to a professional, get them to somebody who can help and all, and don't take it as a joke. Don't ridicule them. Don't make them feel like they're crazy and all, because when you get to that point, okay, that you feel like unaliving yourself, you literally mentally, like in your mind, you feel like all hell has broke loose and you're backed into a corner. Okay, it is the worst feeling in the world. You feel like Tupac. It's you against the world when you go through it. Okay, when somebody comes to that point, y'all, it's not something simple. Something simple or minor did not happen to this individual. It ain't something like, oh, well, they got a parking ticket, then they went on to school one day and they failed a class, and then found out financial aid wasn't covering that same class that they fell in. And then, they just came to, they want to unalive themselves. No, that's not what it's like. That's enough to depress somebody or upset somebody, but it's not enough to get a person to think about unaliving themselves. Usually when a person thinks about unaliving themselves, they feel trapped like a rat. So this person put it in better. Let me give y'all an example. So it'd be like, okay, this person probably had a loved one passed away. Then not only did they have a loved one pass away, but everything in their personal life is being torn up, and they had something traumatic happen to where they've been dealing with depression and stuff for a little while. It's been lingering. Y'all heard what she said. She said she's been fighting since her early teenage years. And honestly, I did not even have to reiterate her post to know this, because I've been there. Okay. Age 12 years old. I remember going to my parents to say, hey, and something traumatic had happened. My mom and dad's house, the house that gave us so much stability, had burned to the ground. Now, people were throwing me off left and right, and they would say, Candace, it's just a house. It's just wood and metal and steel and all. But to me, it was not just a house. It was the house that held me and my siblings together, that gave us stability. And when that house burned down, not only did me and my sisters kind of go through our own separate mental depressions and all, but my parents were fighting as well. So that house burning down, it kind of represented the end of peace and stability in my life. You understand? And when people kept thwarting me off like, okay, Candace, it was just a house, it made it seem like I was crazy when I knew I wasn't crazy. I just did not understand the feelings I was having inside. Okay, which is why I completely understand where Arlana was coming from in this message. But let me keep going. Okay, So she says, she goes on to say, I struggled so much through just this year alone, from COVID to tearing my ACL to nearly failing all of my classes. To the people in my life, I pray you learn to vocalize your feelings and get help always. I failed at that and I'm afraid it's too late. Mom, thank you so much. I pray you know I'm at rest now. You would have given anything to see me happy. You would have given everything to see me happy. I'm happy in the water. Wow. That's part breaking my heart, y'all. She says she's happy in the water where everything is still and peaceful. So if you guys have heard of this case before I did, you know that they found her remains in a lake or a river. I believe it was the Mississippi River, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and also let me keep going. So she goes on to say, I have written so many unaliving notes in my life, but finally I have reached my end. I hope this teaches everyone to check on your so-called strong friends. Okay, and what do they often call black women? Oh, you so strong and all. No, black women, we go through a lot of traumatic situations. I don't even know where to start. I've been through so many traumatic situations in my life. This is why when I come across some of these cases, I can readily identify and have empathy for these young women because I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Black women, we just know how to survive in the thickness of craziness. And being able to survive is not always a good thing. When you live your life, you want to thrive. You don't want to strive. Striving, the definition of striving is struggling. Okay, surviving meaning you just doing enough to stay above water. We don't want to survive, y'all. We want to thrive with a TH. We want to thrive. We want to soar. We want to reach the mountains. We want to be happy and joyful. Okay, so when I say we know enough to survive, that's not a good thing, y'all. I'm not giving y'all that as a compliment. Understand that. Okay, so let me go on. So she says, remember to check on your so-called strong friends. And she put that in quotation marks. Be present always. I couldn't agree with her more. I'm contradicting myself when I say this. So she says, never give up. And she was contradicting herself when she says, never give up. I know that I'm letting a lot of people down by what I'm about to do, but truth is I've already let so many people down throughout my life. It feels unbearable. Okay. So that right there kind of tells me a little bit like why she feels like she's a failure, and she's been feeling that way for a long time. I've lost my connection to God. So she basically feels like she is a failure to everybody and she failed God, or she lost her connection. Let me tell y'all something. And I mean this from the deepest part of my heart. And I mean this not only from the deepest part of my heart, but because I am a living witness. I am a living, walking testimony. No matter how deep in sin you are, the Holy Spirit can pull you out of that. Okay. And I'm only mentioning my faith because I could tell by this young lady's letter that she was a believer. Okay. No matter how deep in sin you are, the Holy Spirit can pull you out. Don't listen to these people, y'all. You have to get to know God by His Spirit. Do y'all know how many times God has pulled me out of situations where He literally had just got through telling me, Candace, don't go back into that situation. You know, one day I'm going to do a live and literally break down the timeline of my DV situation, because God didn't deliver me from that situation once, y'all. He delivered and delivered, switched it up, delivered again. Holy Spirit will literally come to me and walk me out the door and like tell me step by step what He wanted me to do. So I'm telling y'all that because literally I would be in disobedience. I don't care about how you sin. How you sin is that don't really matter. Sin in itself is wrong, right? So because we know sin is wrong, I would literally be in the pit of sin. I would be in darkness and the Holy Spirit would still talk to me and say, Candace, are you happy here? Are you happy in this relationship? And be real with me, Candace. The worst thing you can do when you have a relationship with God is be mediocre with Him, or tell Him something where the religious folks in the church done told you. God like it when you real with him. So if your real is cussing in your prayers, then cuss in your prayers. He knows how to fix that cussing. He knows how to cut that off. Let me tell y'all something. I've never got in trouble for any kind of way that I prayed to God. Not when I was angry, not none of that. Don't let nobody convince y'all none of that. Read your Bibles. If you are a believer, read your Bible for yourself. The Bible even says when you're angry, pray. It's not a sin to be angry, y'all. It's not. Get to know God for yourself, for real. Get to know him for yourself. Don't let no human being tell you who God is. I am a living, breathing witness. This is why to this day I have not given up on God. It's because in some of my darkest moments where I was in the pits of hell, I would be somewhere, someplace that I had nowhere to be, that the Lord would literally told me, Candace, don't do this, or he would convict my heart, and he would still talk to me and walk me out of that situation. Don't give up on God, y'all. Give up on these religious people. That's who you give up on. These people who preach to y'all and then tell you, and then they live their life a whole different way. That's why I get on here when y'all hear my messages and all. What do I always tell y'all? I still need help. I'm a fence sitter. It's still a whole lot of things that I have to get right. And I don't tell y'all that because I owe y'all. I don't feel like y'all have a heaven or hell to put me in. Y'all don't. But when you come and you hear my messages, you're going to know that I'm raw and real. Okay? I'm not trying to get anybody to worship me or, nothing like that. I'm going to be real with y'all. I believe in that. I'm not going to always do everything right, but at least I can do is be real with y'all. Okay. But let me keep going. She says the devil seems to have won, and that is okay. I blame no one for this. I thank everyone for thinking about how everyone else would feel about my passing is not enough either. So basically, she is saying that people have got her to stop past unalive attempts by telling her to think about how other people would feel. Now, I understand the intentions of loved ones and friends when they do that, but being somebody who has struggled with those thoughts in the past, that's not a good way to go about it. The best thing you can do is get this person to a professional individual. But when you tell them, oh, think about this person, basically it's almost like you telling them, don't think about yourself. Like, ignore your feelings, put on the front. That's what I did, y'all, for 6 years when I continued on in the medical field, knowing I was not happy in the medical field. What was my turning point in the medical field was basically, okay, let me slow down because I'm jumping ahead of myself. I stayed in the medical field 6 years because I felt like I had to be an advocate for Black women and children because I seen a lot of the things that we dealt with when we go into the doctor, and I felt like there was no escape. It started to get to the point where when I began to room patients, I would take down your symptoms and everything, but I didn't care about what you were saying. My compassion had literally been turned off. I had grown null. Okay, and I knew then something clicked with me at that point in my life, and something said, is going to get to the point where you're going to be neglectful to your patients, and I could not allow that to happen. Now, I could not, even though I knew I was going through something, I could never bring harm to my patients. I wouldn't have been able to live with that. Okay, so at that time, and like I said, y'all, I'm a millennial. I just, the urgent care place was my last medical job. Okay, I decided to hang up my stethoscope and focus on my own path and serve Black women in a different way. Okay, I had to do that. So when you tell somebody, think about this person and how they feel, it's almost like you're saying, screw how you feel. Do it for this person, but you can serve somebody else and you can do something for somebody else, and you're still neglecting yourself, and you're still not paying attention to this dark spot you have in your soul that you need attention for, but you holding on for somebody. That's hard, y'all. So I understand why she, why this young lady got to the point she still had not really paid any attention to. I don't even want to say she didn't pay attention. I feel like she was fully aware, but I don't think anybody else really got to the core root of her issue and took her to get some serious professional help. Asking her to think about other people, in my opinion, was very selfish. You know, it was very selfish, because when you're having these thoughts and you're having to think about other people, it's almost like, you know, somebody chopping your leg off and you having all this serious pain and you got blood spurting. And I hate to be this graphic, but I have to be to get y'all to take mental health seriously. Okay, that's what it's like. But you want this person who is suffering. They have this huge wound and they're suffering, but you want them to ignore their pain and suffer through it to think about others. That is selfish to me. Okay, I believe somebody should have got this young lady some help when she cried out the first time, when the notes came out. And I don't believe they didn't, but when you get people who suffer with unaliving thoughts, you have to not only get them help and they go through psychiatric care one time, you have to stay up on them. That is a chronic problem. Depression can be chronic. Suicidal thoughts, if you don't get delivered from those, they can come back. You know, the enemy don't never take his foot off your neck. If he feel like he got a way in, he gonna keep coming and keep nitpicking with you. I'm a living witness. Let me keep going. So yeah, so I stopped at where she, you know, where everybody was trying to get her to be strong for everybody else. Okay. And with black women, that is not good advice. Okay. So let me keep going. So she says, and I'm gonna start off where I just went over. She says she tried to please and make everyone else happy her entire life, and she's been unalive inside for a long time. To everyone I love, just remember this is not your fault, and I pray you don't find guilt in my situation. To my granddad, I wish you were here to tell me I am being stupid, to tell me it's not worth it, but you left me and found your own place. I've always been stubborn and prideful, just like you. I always dreamed of becoming so many things that I am today, but they just aren't enough. I'm not enough. Okay, you see how she keeps referring to herself? I'm gonna get on that in a minute. I haven't felt like enough in a long time, but I say this all to say I'm done fighting. My battle is over, and I pray everyone finds peace in that. Okay, so this young lady, when she referred to herself in this letter, she kept on saying that she's a failure. She's not enough. She believes she's failed God. So something is up with the self-identity. Okay, and I I think around Thanksgiving, I was studying the self and how we view ourselves. And this right here, like I said, it goes on into our belief systems. Okay, her belief system was she was a failure, and that she had failed everybody. Okay. And she said she even failed God, and that she lost her connection with God, and she said she was not enough. Okay. Now, I wonder, like, if she ever had got help from a mental professional, had they got to that core of what makes her feel like she's not enough. Okay. And y'all have to understand, this young lady on the outside, if you're on the outside looking in, you're looking at a beautiful young cheerleader. She's at a Southern university. So on the outside looking in, she looked okay. She looked like everything was good with her. And y'all heard what she said. She was real good at putting on a facade. I wonder what was the turning point in her life that got her to first think having unaliving thoughts. And I wonder what help those thoughts to mingle and grow. Sometimes you have to get to the core of it with people who suffer with unaliving thoughts. Before you to get to the core, you have to allow this person to fully open up and allow them to fully, for lack of better terms, let their demons out. Okay. And I know that sounds a little creepy, but when you're suffering on the inside or whatever, and you want to communicate what it is to people, what you're going through, for y'all to understand with somebody who suffers with these kinds of thoughts, you have to come with a completely non-judgmental mindset. You have to allow them to completely be themselves and take off that mask. Okay, let hide out. You know what I'm saying? You've been Jekyll long enough. You know Jekyll was the good one. Let hide out. Let Hyde out and let me see Hyde so we can figure out how he got here and what's this all about. Okay? So, now I'm going to go over some of the risk factors or things that you can watch out for with loved ones who struggle or possibly are struggling with unaliving thoughts. Okay, my heart and my condolences go out to Arlana Miller's family. No words can describe or I can even give you to say I'm sorry, and I know that this is a hard time for your family. Okay, let's go on to the risk factors and the things that you can look out for. Okay guys, so I am back and I have pulled up the WebMD. Okay, but I did find another site called the clevelandclinic.org that had a lot of good information in it as well. And I will be posting the unalive hotlines number in this video in the description box as well. Okay, so let's read what WebMD has to say. So unaliving, again, I'm using a substitute word. Okay, so unaliving oneself is not a mental illness, but a serious potential consequence of treatable mental disorders that include major depression, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, substance use disorders, anxiety disorders, and eating disorders like bulimia and anorexia. Okay, any of these could be potential warning signs for unaliving oneself. So these are the warning signs that WebMD is giving us, and it says severe sadness or moodiness, long-lasting or chronic sadness, mood swings, or unexpected rage. The next one is hopelessness, feeling a deep sense of hopelessness about the future with little expectation that circumstances can improve. Sleep problems, sudden calmness, okay? Suddenly becoming calm after a period of depression or moodiness can be a sign that someone has made a decision to unalive themselves, okay? That's kind of like, that's probably would be like the final stage before they attempt it, okay? Like they really convinced that they could go along with it. Okay, the next one is withdrawal. Choosing to be alone or avoiding friends or social activities are also symptoms of depression and a leading cause of unaliving oneself. This includes the loss of interest or pleasure in the activities the person previously enjoyed. Okay, and please make sure you're paying attention to these so that if you see any of these signs in loved ones or friends, you can sit them down and talk to them. Okay, and you kind of have to ease them into talking to a specialist because, you know, I'm be honest, people who are often thinking about unaliving themselves, like the young lady said in her note, they know how to hide it well. So you got to get them, you have to kind of take baby steps in the conversation and walk it up to getting them to seek professional mental help. Okay. So the next one is changes in personality or appearance. A person who is considering to unalive themselves might exhibit a change in attitude or behavior, such as speaking or moving with unusual speed or slowness. In addition, the person might suddenly become less concerned about their personal appearance. Dangerous or self-harmful behavior. Potentially dangerous behavior such as reckless driving, engaging in unsafe sex, and increased use of alcohol or drugs might indicate that the person has no longer values their lives, like they're being careless. They don't care what happened. We often hear about the unsafe sex one with people who have HIV/AIDS, but that literally could be anybody who struggles with unaliving themselves and having those thoughts can be reckless like that. Okay, so let's go on. So it says recent trauma or life crisis. A major life crisis might trigger an unalive attempt. Crises include the death of a loved one or a pet, the end of a relationship, diagnosis of a major illness, the loss of a job, or serious financial problems. Okay, making preparations. Often the person is considering unaliving themselves will begin to put their personal business in order. This might include visiting friends or family members, giving away personal possessions, making a will, and cleaning up their room or home. Some people will write a note before taking their own life. Some will buy a firearm or other means like poison. One of the things that I often see, I didn't really see any firearm victims because usually they're pretty successful when it comes to unaliving themselves. So the majority of the people that I seen by demographic and everything, like by demographic and the cause or the way that they attempted to unalive themselves, on the majority level, I seen mostly white males. That doesn't mean to say that black people do not struggle with mental health issues. That just means to say that these people, when they struggle with it, they will come and seek medical attention. Okay. But the number one cause or attempt to unalive oneself that from the patients that I worked with were pills. Okay, so if you feel like you have an individual in your life and they're trying to unalive themselves, make sure that you, like, I don't care what you do. If you have to go over and sleep a couple nights with them as you're trying to ease them into seeing a medical or a professional mental like doctor or whatever, make sure you kind of, sneak over to their medicine cabinet or whatever to take their meds and get the meds out of there. That's all I'm gonna tell you, because usually when they try to do it by meds, this is my opinion. My opinion is when they go to that medicine cabinet, that is like literally a cry for help. They all cry for help, but when they do it that way, that's like saying, hey, I'm not totally serious about doing this. I want somebody to kind of step in and stop me or whatever. But when it's by firearm, that's when you really gotta, so just pay attention to everything with these people. They know how to front very, very well. Okay. If you love them, I don't care what you got to sacrifice. If you got to take a couple days or a couple weeks off of work and just express to this person, that you want to see them happy, that they matter to you. Don't talk about yourself. Don't be selfish and say, oh, if you do that, think about me and how I'm going to hurt, because it's almost like you're ignoring them. Don't focus on yourself at that time. Continue to tell that person that you love them, that they're worth something, that they will get through this. Okay. So anyways, let me keep going. So the last one, it says, the last risk factor from WebMD, it says threatening or talking about unaliving oneself. So they say from 50 to 75% considering to unalive themselves will give someone, a friend or a relative, a warning sign. When you see that warning sign, just like I gave y'all with the pill description, that is them calling out for help. And oftentimes they're not strong enough to verbally communicate with you and say, hey, I need some help, especially in the Black community where we are often shamed. And if we yell out to our loved ones and say, hey, something is wrong with me, I need help, we're often called crazy or people laugh us off. Oh, ain't shit wrong with you. We have to stop doing that. Okay, it makes people feel low. It makes people feel like they literally are loopy and something is wrong with them when nothing is wrong with them. When I say nothing is wrong with them, I mean it's completely normal to go through like a depression or something. It's normal to feel down. It's normal to have traumas and stuff. That is human. That is not weird. It's not off. It's not crazy. Okay. And that's what I got a lot of times working with people who wanted to unalive themselves. And that goes from everything from men of no color. I've had big football built men of no color in beds, literally weeping like children because they are so ashamed and they didn't want family and all coming in. And they didn't want anybody to know that they tried to unalive themselves. So some of these people, when they come out of it, or if medical professionals are able to step in and save their lives, they feel very ashamed. This goes for women and men, you know. So the first thing that I made a point to do when I was working those floors, especially with my teenagers, y'all don't know how much I loved working with teenagers. Teenagers are, oh my God, that was I loved working with teenagers, especially the ones who had attempted to unalive themselves, because I had a knack for getting them to break down a little brick wall and talk to me. But sometimes parents, and this is why I'm making this video now, would mess it all up. I literally had a female patient, a black female patient, who had attempted to unalive herself. And we were holding her because she had to go to see psych to get fully released. She could not just discharge from the hospital. And the only psych doctor that was willing to see her, or that was available at that time, was in a different town. So they were bringing an ambulance to transport her. So the hospital was just holding her until she got transported to see the psych doctor and all. But me and this young lady, the first thing I do when I get a report and I go in their rooms, and I have to, I used to have to sit with those patients, is I made a note of telling them, I don't think you're crazy. What you did wasn't crazy. You're simply human responding to a very real situation in your life. And this is the way that you thought to respond. And it is nothing wrong with that. But we want to see you respond in a more healthier way when you face challenging situations in your life. I would get on their level, and throughout that whole 12-hour shift, I would open up to them. They would open up to me, and we would talk and we would vibe. And then you have this parent coming in. So in this young lady situation, her father thought intimidating her would get her to talk to him about her unalive attempt. So what he did, y'all, is he would say, you better question me, or that's gonna happen, or this gonna happen, or he would threaten her. And then what really made me get up and like get a social worker in the room is when he positioned his face, like literally, y'all, an inch away from her face, took her call light away from her, and told her he was not gonna get out of her personal space until she trying to force this girl to answer him about why she attempted what she attempted. And when I seen him do that, it all made perfect sense why this young lady attempted to unalive herself. So I did reach out to the unit manager, the floor manager, and got a hold of the supervisor, and got the social workers in there, because what that father did, and I witnessed it, it was abusive and it was wrong, and it was possibly one of the biggest reasons why this young lady was in there. Okay, and that right there is why I did not like working pediatrics. The little kids and the teens was always cool, loved working with them, but it was parents like that that always just made my skin crawl. Okay, so if you are still watching towards this point, you see that the national hotline, the unalive number is right here. Okay, and if you know anybody struggling with these thoughts, feelings, or emotions, please take them seriously. Do not ridicule them. Do not make them feel small. Do not judge them. Do not tell them what you want or how you would feel if they were successful in their attempts. Okay, you're taking the attention off of them and you're putting it on yourself. That is not fair. It is not right. Okay, y'all be safe, be alert, be aware. This is Candace Yvette, and I am signing off.